My name is Walter Briggs, and I'm 72 years old. Right now, I'm sitting in an old brown recliner that's been with me for more years than I care to count. The leather is cracked, the handle sticks, and one of the legs is held up by a stack of old hardcover books. But it's my chair. This is where I've watched my kids grow up, where I watched the news turn into noise, and where I've sat most nights wondering where I went wrong, and where, somehow, I still got one thing right. If you're listening to me, I want you to remember something. There comes a moment in every father's life when he has to choose between being loved by his child or saving that child from the darkest part of himself. The day I had to make that choice was the day my son Evan crossed a line with his younger sister, Lily, not in the way people like to whisper about behind closed doors, but in a way that still makes my stomach twist when I think about it. I'll tell you about that day. But first, I need to talk about the title you probably clicked on. You saw those words, and you probably felt something in your chest, didn't you? A little anger, a little disgust, a little morbid curiosity. Maybe you thought, what kind of messed up family is this? That's okay. I won't hold it against you. I've asked myself the same thing more nights than I can count. But here's the truth. Sometimes the line isn't physical. Sometimes nobody touches anybody. Sometimes the line is in the heart, in the mind, in the way someone looks at another person, and in the things they're willing to do because of that twisted feeling inside. My son didn't break his sister's body. He tried to break her freedom. He tried to own her. He tried to control who she loved, where she went, what she wore, who she texted. He crossed into a place where love turned into obsession, and obsession turned into something dangerous. And I had to decide whether I was going to pretend I didn't see it, or destroy the image my son had of me so I could save whatever was left of his soul. Before I tell you how it all exploded, I want to take you back a bit, because no family breaks in a single day. Cracks start small. Evan was my firstborn. The day he arrived, the nurse placed this red-faced, screaming little thing on my chest and said, "Congratulations, Dad." I didn't feel like a dad. I felt like a man who'd just been handed a live bomb that could cry. But I loved him. God, I love that boy. I'd sit in this very chair, hold him on my chest, feeling his tiny breast, and I'd think, I'm going to do this right. I'm going to be different from my old man. My father believed in teaching through fear. Belts, backhands, and the cold, hard kind of silence that feels like a locked door. I promised myself, not me. I'd talk. I'd listen. I'd be there. 3 years later, Lily was born. She came into this world quiet, like she was listening first, looking, taking notes. Where Evan was a storm, she was a little lamp that glowed in the corner of a dark room. When we brought her home, Evan stood on his tiptoes to look into the baby carrier. "Is that mine?" he asked. I laughed. "She's ours. Your sister. You're her big brother now." He puffed out his chest like I'd just handed him a badge. "Does that mean I protect her?" he said. Yeah, I told him. That's exactly what it means. If I could go back to that exact moment, I'd take his little shoulders, look him in his innocent blue eyes and say, protecting someone doesn't mean owning them. Loving someone doesn't mean controlling them. But at that time, all I did was ruffle his hair. And that seed, the one that would later grow into something toxic, got planted without me even noticing. Children have a way of writing their own story before you even realize what genre you're in. Evan and Lily were close. The kind of close that made teachers smile and other parents say, "You're lucky." My kids fight all the time. When Evan had a soccer game, Lily was in the stands, waving handmade signs with glitter that stuck to everything for weeks. When Lily had a school play, Evan sat front row, filming the whole thing on my old camcorder, shouting louder than anybody. On Saturdays, they'd disappear into the backyard and build kingdoms, piles of cardboard, old sheets, and plastic swords. "Dad, we're a team," Lily told me once, cheeks smudged with dirt. "Always," Evan said, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. I smiled. I didn't see the storm coming. Sometimes love and danger were the same outfit for a while. Trouble doesn't knock. It slips in when you're pouring coffee and trying to get to work on time. By the time Evan was a senior and Lily was a sophomore in high school, that closeness had started to feel different. Not all at once. Like I said, cracks. It started with little comments. Lily would come down the stairs, backpack on, lip gloss shining like any teenage girl, and Evan would look up from his phone and say, "You're not wearing that, are you?" She'd frown. "What's wrong with it? You're showing too much. Guys are idiots. They'll stare." She'd roll her eyes and keep walking. Sometimes she'd change. Sometimes she wouldn't. At first, I thought, well, he's just being overprotective. Big brothers are like that. But it didn't stop there. A boy named Kyle Henderson started popping up in stories. "Dad." Kyle asked if I wanted to study together. Lily mentioned one night at dinner, poking her mashed potatoes. I glanced up. "Kyle, the tall kid from the robotics club?" "Yeah, he's nice." Before I could say anything, Evan snorted. "He's a creep." I frowned. "You know him?" "Yeah, Dad, I know guys like him. He's not into studying, trust me." Lily flushed. "Why do you always do that? You don't even know him." Evan slammed his fork down a little too hard. "I don't have to know him. I know what guys think when they look at you." It was a strange sentence. Something about the way he said you made the hairs on my arms rise. I opened my mouth to say something, but my wife, Diane, gave me a look over the table, a small shake of the head. "Leave it. They're just kids arguing." So I left it, and that was mistake number one. Now, before we step into the darker part of the story, I want to ask you something, not as a character in a story, but as an old man talking to you straight. You're listening to me because a part of you knows families are fragile. You know one decision, one conversation not had can change everything. If you've ever felt that way, do me a favor. Backhand index pointing right, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the rest of the stories we tell here. We talk about hard things, betrayal, regret, second chances, and sometimes hearing someone else's story can stop you from making the same mistake in your own life. All right, let's get back to the night everything snapped. Our town still did those old-fashioned school dances. String lights in the gym, cheap punch, bad music. I was in this chair, watching some late-night show with the volume low, when Lily came down the stairs in a blue dress. Not fancy, not wild, just beautiful, simple, age-appropriate. She looked like a kid standing on the doorstep of adulthood, not quite ready to knock. "How do I look?" she asked, twirling once. I put my hand over my heart, like I need to go find a shotgun. She laughed and swatted my arm. "Dad." I was joking, of course. But behind her, coming down the hallway, I saw Evan stop. He didn't smile. He didn't say she looked nice. His jaw clenched. "You're wearing that?" he said. There it was again, that same sentence. Same tone. Harder this time. Sharper. Lily's shoulders dropped. "Oh my God!" Evan, not again. "Did Kyle invite you?" he asked, ignoring her. She hesitated. "He might be there." "Might be there, or you're going there with him?" His voice was too tight for a simple brotherly question. "Evan, it's just a dance." "Dad." He cut her off, looking at me now. "You're really okay with her walking out like that?" "With him." The room went quiet. The TV light flickered across the walls. And suddenly I realized something. This wasn't about brotherly concern. This was about control. I leaned forward in my chair. "Evan," I said slowly, "your sister's allowed to go to a dance. She's allowed to like people. That's part of growing up." His eyes flashed. "Yeah, and she's allowed to get hurt. You're okay with that too." Lily grabbed her clutch, blinking quickly. "I'm leaving," she muttered. "Mom's dropping me off." She disappeared out the front door before anyone could stop her. The door closed. Silence. I turned to Evan. "That wasn't okay," I said. "You don't talk to her like that." He stared past me into some dark corner of the room. "You don't get it, Dad," he said quietly. "You just don't get it." He walked upstairs without another word. If I had gone after him that night, maybe things would have gone differently. But I was tired. It had been a long day at the warehouse. And in my head, I still heard the echo of my own father, barking, "You kids sort it out," whenever my brothers and I fought. So I did what I'd been trained to do by a man I never wanted to become. I let it go. The real crack showed itself 2 weeks later. Diane and I were cleaning up the kitchen when she said, "Have you noticed Evan lately?" I wiped the counter. "He's 18. Moody comes free with the hormones." She didn't smile. "It's more than that," she said. "The way he looks at Lily when she walks into a room. It's intense." My hand paused. "The way he what?" She folded the dish towel over the sink. "I don't know how to explain it. It's like he's always watching." And she started closing her bedroom door more. She flinches when he raises his voice. The room felt smaller all of a sudden. "Did you talk to her?" I asked. "She says she's fine. She always says she's fine." Later that night, while Evan was in the shower, his phone lit up on the coffee table beside my chair. I wouldn't have touched it, but a notification popped up. "Evan, this is messed up. I'm not sending you that video. Stop asking." It was from a number saved as Trent Locker Room. My heart stuttered. I shouldn't have picked up the phone. I know that, but something cold crawled up my spine, and my thumb moved before my conscience could catch it. I tapped the screen. No lock, no Face ID. Evan still thought the old man wouldn't know how to snoop, even if he tried. Messages scrolled up. "Evan, did I saw them behind the gym. Evan, you were right. Evan, you said you sometimes record stuff, right? Evan, just send me what you have. Trent." Man, it was just some talking chill. I left. "Evan, liar. Evan, you said he had his hands on her. Evan, I know what he wants. Evan, I just need to see. Trent, bro, why? It's your sister, dude. Evan, exactly. Evan, I have to know. Trent, I deleted it. Forget it. This is weird. Evan, you're useless." I felt my mouth go dry. It wasn't just overprotectiveness. It was obsession, a sick need to see, to verify, to own the narrative of his sister's life. Behind those words, I could hear something darker. If I know everything, if I see everything, I can control everything. The bathroom door upstairs clicked open. Footsteps. Shower steam drifted down the hallway. I locked the phone and set it exactly where it had been, but my hands were shaking. For the first time, I was afraid of my own son. When you've held a baby in your arms, it's hard to look at that same person and say, "I think there's something very wrong with you." So instead, we soften it. We ask half questions. We toss out little life rafts in the hope they'll grab one. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the glow of the alarm clock, counting every car that passed our quiet little house in Georgia. The next afternoon, I found Evan in the garage, lifting weights with his earbuds in, his muscles strained, veins popping in his forearms. He looked bigger than I remembered, older than 18. I waited until he finished the set. "We need to talk," I said. He pulled an earbud out, chest heaving. "What about?" "I saw some of your messages. I began with Trent." Instantly, his whole body changed. His jaw locked. His eyes turned hard. "You went through my phone?" he snapped. I saw a notification. It looked serious. I was worried. "Yeah," he sneered. "Worried about me, or worried about your precious little girl?" Something in his tone made the hairs stand up on my neck. "Don't talk about your sister like that," I said. He laughed bitterly. "Everyone talks about her like that," he muttered. "They just don't do it in front of you." I took a breath, fighting the urge to shout. "What were you asking Trent for?" I pushed. "Why did you want a video of Lily?" He looked at the wall past my shoulder. "I want to know what kind of guy she's sneaking around with," he said. "You and Mom are clueless. Somebody has to look out for her." "That's not looking out for her," I said quietly. "That's spying on her. That's violating her privacy." "She's naive," he said. "She trusts everyone. She thinks guys like Kyle actually care about her. They don't. They just want." He cut himself off. I stepped closer. "Evan," I said slowly, "she's allowed to make mistakes. That's how people learn. You don't get to control what she does just because you're scared of what might happen." His eyes flicked to mine, then sharp and ugly. "I'm not scared," he said. "I just know her better than she knows herself." There it was. That sentence. That belief. The idea that he knew what was best for her, more than she did, more than we did. A part of me wanted to grab him by the shoulders and shake that thought right out of his skull. Instead, I said, "You're her brother, not her jailer." He smirked. Funny way to talk from a guy who wants to chain her to good decisions for the rest of her life. He shoved past me, the weight of his shoulder more forceful than it needed to be. The garage door slammed. Tools rattled on the pegboard. And standing there, in the smell of oil and metal and teenage sweat, I realized something terrifying. My son didn't think he was doing anything wrong. In his mind, he was a hero of this story. And heroes, in their own head, can justify a whole lot of damage. I wish I could tell you things out better after that garage confrontation. I wish I could say Evan stepped back, thought about what I said, and realized he was walking a dangerous road. But obsession doesn't unwind itself just because someone says stop. Sometimes it digs in deeper, quieter, smarter. And that's exactly what my son did. For about 2 weeks, things looked normal. Too normal. Evan stopped arguing with Lily, stopped making comments, stopped slamming doors or rolling his eyes. He even smiled a few times at dinner. But here's the thing about silence. Sometimes silence is a person sharpening their knife. I'd sit in this old recliner, same one I'm sitting in now, pretending to watch TV, while my ears tracked every footstep in the house. Every creak, every whisper, every door closing. Diane thought I was overreacting. "You're just worried because of what you saw," she said, rubbing my shoulder. "He's trying, Walt. He's calming down. But a father knows. A father feels it in his bones when Storm is still out there, hiding behind the H. Horizon. One afternoon, I came home early from a supply run. The house was quiet. Sunlight falling across the kitchen in long, bright stripes. Evan's phone was on the counter. Odd. He never left it anywhere. I wasn't going to touch it. But then it buzzed. A message preview flashed. Apple ID security notice. Your recent login attempt from a new device. My pulse jumped. I picked up the phone and pressed the screen. It unlocked instantly. No passcode. Everything was clean. Suspiciously clean. No messages. No photos. No apps except the ones that come factory installed. My throat tightened. He wiped it. Why? People only wipe their phone for 2 reasons. They're selling it, they're hiding something. And Evan hadn't mentioned anything about selling. I set the phone down exactly where it had been, and in the silence of that kitchen, my heart started pounding. Something was happening under our feet. Something none of us were seeing. It was a Wednesday. Diane was at her book club, and I was in the living room pretending to read. Evan was upstairs. Lily came home late from drama rehearsal, the door clicking softly behind her. "Hey, sweetheart," I said. "How was practice?" She forced a smile. "Good. Tiring." Her voice was too thin, her shoulders too tight. I watched her open the fridge, grab a bottle of water, shut the door gently, and walk toward the stairs. Halfway up, I said quietly, "Lily." She froze, turned slowly. "Yeah. You okay?" A tiny pause, barely a heartbeat long. Then she nodded. "Yeah, Dad. Just tired." It was a lie. A good one, but a lie. The kind people tell when telling the truth is too heavy. Around midnight, I was heading upstairs when I heard voices, muffled, sharp, tense. Evan's and Lily's. Her bedroom door was closed. The hallway light was off, but the sound carried just enough. "Not your decision, Evan. I'm not letting him near you. You don't get to let anything. You're not my—" I stepped forward, and suddenly everything went silent. Then footsteps. Soft ones. Lily opened her door just a crack. When she saw me, her eyes were red. "Oh," she whispered. "Dad, you're awake." Awake? My daughter never worried about waking me. Evan stood behind her. Shadows stretched long across a room, jaw tight, eyes burning. I stepped between them. "What's happening here?" Lily shook her head quickly. "Nothing. We were just arguing. Can you please go to sleep? Both of us will, too." "Lily." She touched my hand. "Please." Her voice cracked. "Just once. Just enough to break me." I nodded. Okay, but we're talking tomorrow. Both of you. She retreated into her room and shut the door. Evan stared at me for another long second, something wild behind his eyes. Then he walked past without a word. He didn't sleep that night. I heard him pacing until dawn, and that's when I knew we weren't dealing with normal teenage jealousy. There was something wrong in the way my son saw his sister. Something, twisted, something dangerous. It happened on a Saturday morning. Diane went to farmer's market early. Evan was upstairs, and Lily was in the kitchen, pouring cereal, staring blankly through the window. "Morning," I said softly. "Morning." Her voice was small, like something fragile. I sat across from her. She didn't look up. "Lily," I said, "whatever's going on with your brother, you need to tell me." She froze. Then slowly, she set her spoon down. Her lip trembled. "Dad, Evan isn't okay." My stomach dropped. She swallowed hard, and when she finally raised her eyes, they were full of fear, not discomfort, not annoyance. Fear. What did he do? I whispered. She took a shaky breath. "It's not one thing, it's everything," she said quietly. "It started with comments. Then he started checking my phone. Then he showed up places I didn't tell anyone I was going. The air in the room thickened. He hacked into my Instagram," she continued. "He reads my messages. He deletes the ones from boys. He even changed my password." My hands curled into fists under the table. "Why didn't you tell us?" She sniffed. "Because he said he was just trying to protect me. And because he gets angry when I push back. Not yelling angry. Cold angry. Like he's disappointed in me. Like I'm doing something wrong." A chill ran through me. "Has he ever threatened you?" Her eyes darted toward the stairs. "Not a yes. Not a no. He said if I kept sneaking around with Kyle, he'd handle it." She swallowed. "I don't know what that means. But the way he said it, Dad, it scared me." I stood up so fast my chair scraped the floor. "Where's your phone?" I asked. She pulled it from her pocket with trembling fingers. I took it, opened her Instagram, went to settings, and sure enough, the password had been changed 2 weeks ago. The same week Evan wiped his own phone. Something snapped inside my chest. That was the last line. The one I couldn't pretend wasn't there anymore. I put my hands on her shoulders. "Lily," I said, "listen to me. None of this is your fault. And I don't care what reason he thinks he has. He doesn't get to own any part of your life." A tear slid down her cheek. "Dad, what are you going to do?" I looked toward the stairs, and for the first time in my life, I felt scared of the boy I once held in my arms. "I'm going to talk to him," I said. "Truly talk. And this time he's going to listen." I found Evan in the backyard, punching the heavy bag I'd hung from the old oak tree years ago. Bam, bam, bam. His knuckles were already red. "Evan," I said. He didn't stop. "Evan." He swung one last time, hard, then grabbed the bag and held it, chest heaving. "What?" "We're talking. Now." He wiped sweat off his forehead with the back of his hand, jaw tight. "About what?" I stepped closer. "About Lily." His shoulders tense, but he didn't turn around. "What about her?" She told me everything. Slowly, he released the punching bag. Then he turned. His eyes were flat. Too calm. Too cold. "Everything?" he asked. "You hacked her Instagram. You tried to get videos of her from other boys. You read her messages. You threaten anyone who tries to get close to her." He stared at me for a long moment. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "I did what I had to do." "No," I said. "You did what you wanted to do. And what you wanted is not normal." His brow tightened. "You don't understand." "I understand better than you think," I said quietly. "You're obsessed. You think you're protecting her, but you're trying to own her, control her." His jaw twitched. "I'm the only one who actually cares about her." "No, you're the only one who wants to cage her." His chest rose sharply like I'd slapped him. "Dad." "You cross a line, Evan. And now you're going to step back." "I'm not stepping back," he said, voice shaking. She doesn't see what these guys want. She doesn't understand. She's too trusting. And you think you're the only one who knows what's right for her? I asked. Yes. His voice cracked. Because she's mine to protect. That word, mine, echoed through the trees like a warning bell. My whole body went cold. No, Evan, I said, stepping closer. She's not yours. She's your sister. Not your responsibility. Not your possession. His face twisted with something I had never seen. A mix of pain, anger, fear, and something darker. You're taking her side, he said quietly. I'm taking the right side. He shook his head slowly, like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. Dad, if I let her go with someone like Kyle, she'll get hurt. And if you keep doing what you're doing, I said, you're going to be the one hurting her. His eyes filled, not with tears, but with rage. Don't say that. It's the truth. No, you don't know what she means to me. I know exactly what she means to you, I said. And that's why we're having this conversation. Something snapped inside him. A sound came out his throat, half laugh, half sob, and he grabbed the punching bag with both hands like he needed to hold on to something real. You're trying to take her away from me, he whispered. That's not what this is. Yes, it is. His voice was trembling now. You don't get it. Nobody gets it. What do we get? I asked quietly. He closed his eyes. And when he opened them, I finally saw it. The truth. The twisted, confused, desperate truth he'd been hiding even from himself. I can't lose her, he whispered. She's the only person who doesn't leave. The words hit me like a punch. Not obsession. Not lust. Not desire. Abandonment. A terrified, broken need to hold on to something that made him feel safe. But that didn't make it any less dangerous. I stepped forward. You didn't lose her, I said softly. You can't lose someone you never owned. His breath shook. Dad, I don't know how to stop. My heart cracked. For the first time, he wasn't angry. He wasn't offensive. He was drowning, and he didn't know how to swim back to shore. I put a hand on his shoulder. You're going to stop, I said, because if you don't, I'll stop you myself. His throat bobbed. You do that. Yes, I said, because I love you, enough to protect you from becoming someone you can't come back from. He swallowed, voice breaking. I don't want to be like this. Then you need help, I said. Real help. Silence hung between us, thick and heavy. Then he whispered, okay. One word, barely audible, but it was a first step, the hardest step, the one that would eventually rip our family apart and put it back together in a different shape. You ever notice how bad nights don't announce themselves? There's no thunder, no warning, just a quiet evening, and then suddenly the floor disappears beneath your feet. That night started quietly. Why too quietly. After our talk in the backyard, Evan didn't explode the way I feared. He went still, not peaceful still, not relaxed still, predator still, like an animal that's been cornered and is thinking, really thinking, about which way to run. He nodded, said, okay, and walked upstairs. Didn't slam a door. Didn't yell. Didn't even take his phone. He left it on the kitchen table. That should have been my first clue. People only leave behind the one object they guard obsessively when they're about to do something impulsive or dangerous. Around 7:45 p.m., Lily came downstairs with her laptop hugged tight to her chest. Dad, she said softly. I looked up from my chair. You all right, sweetheart? She glanced toward the stairs as if she expected someone to be listening. Then she walked over to me and sat beside the chair, curling her feet beneath her like she used to do when she was little. Can I stay down here tonight? She whispered. My throat tightened. Of course. She hesitated. I felt him standing outside my door earlier, she said. Just standing there. My blood froze. For how long? I don't know. Her voice trembled. But I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just waited for him to walk away. I placed a hand on her back gently. You're safe down here, I said. She nodded, but her eyes kept flickering toward the staircase like she expected something to come crawling down. At 10:02 p.m. exactly, I remember the clock on the stove glowing that time. We heard a noise upstairs. A thump, a drag, a muffled crash. Lily flinched so hard the spoon slipped from her hand and clattered against the bowl. "Dad," she whispered. "I hear it." Another thump, this time louder. Something hitting the wall. My chest tightened. "I'm going to check," I said. "No." Lily grabbed my arm. "Please don't go up there." "Dad, please." The fear in her voice wasn't normal teenage fear. It was a fear of someone who'd been hunted in her own home. I pulled her close for a second. "Stay here. Keep the lights on. If anything happens, run to Mrs. Patterson's next door. Don't think. Just run." She nodded, shaking. I stood and climbed the stairs. Every step creaked, the house feeling suddenly too old, too fragile, too dark. Halfway up, I saw it. Evan's bedroom door was wide open, and inside his room was completely destroyed. Drawers yanked out, papers everywhere, mattress half off the bed, punch marks in the wall. This wasn't teenage anger. This was a mind unraveled. "Ealing, Evan," I called softly. No answer. Then I heard breathing, not steady breathing. Shallow, shaking animal breathing. I followed the sound to the far corner of the room, and there he was, sitting on the floor with his back against the wall, knees pulled to his chest, fists clenched tight against his temples. His face was blotched red. Tears streaked down his cheeks. His whole body trembled. He looked like a little boy. A terrified little boy trapped inside a grown body. "Evan," I said, kneeling down. He didn't look at me. Instead, he whispered. I can't stop seeing it. "Seeing what?" He squeezed his eyes shut like he wanted to crush a memory out of existence. Her, with him, laughing with him, smiling at him, like I'm nothing, like I don't matter. My stomach twisted. "Evan, that's not true." "She picked him," he said, voice trembling. "She picked him. Not me. Never me." He slammed the back of his head lightly against the wall, not enough to hurt, enough to punish. "I'm her brother," he said. "I'm supposed to be the one she trusts. I'm supposed to be first." And there it was, not lust, not desire, not romance, but the desperate need to be the center of her world, to matter, to be irreplaceable. A wounded child's need grown into a dange. Rouse obsession. I grabbed his wrist gently but firmly. "Evan, look at me." He didn't. Look at me. Slowly, painfully, he lifted his head, and the moment our eyes met, I saw every broken part of him, all the things he'd been bearing for years. Fear of being forgotten, fear of being replaced, fear that love was a limited resource, and he was running out. I swallowed hard. "You are loved," I said, "but not like that, not in the way you're trying to force." He shook his head violently. "You don't get it. She doesn't need me anymore. She doesn't look for me. She doesn't talk to me like she used to. She doesn't need her big brother. Because she grew up," I said. "That's not fair. It's life." He let out a broken, angry sob. "I don't know who I am without being the one who protects her. I feel like I'm disappearing." The word stabbed me, because suddenly I understood, and it hurt. "Evan," I said quietly, "you didn't protect her." He froze. "You scared her." His eyes widened. "You controlled her." "Dad." "You invaded her privacy." "Stop." "You hurt her." He recoiled like I'd struck him. "No. No, I was protecting." "You were protecting yourself," I said. "Not her. You were protecting the part of you that couldn't handle losing the center of your world." He shook his head, tears falling again. "That's not true." "It is true." I leaned in, voice breaking. "And if you don't stop, you will lose her forever. You will lose all of us." He stared at me, face crumpling. "Dad, I don't want to be this person." "Then you need to face what you've done." He shook his head. "It's too much." "No," I whispered. "It's necessary." Then, slowly, painfully, I said the sentence that shattered him. "You are hurting the person you love the most." His whole body collapsed inward, as if those words hit him like a freight train. He sobbed, real, broken sobs that tore through the quiet house. "I'm sorry," he cried. "I'm sorry, Dad. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm so messed up. I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be this." I pulled him into my arms, held him like I did when he was 5 years old, and scraped his knee on the sidewalk. "It's okay," I whispered. "I've got you, but this ends tonight. No more secrets. No more hiding. No more pretending." His voice cracked into my shoulder. "I need help." "Yes," I said, "and you're going to get it." He nodded weakly. "I'll tell her I'm sorry." "No," I said, "you won't. Not today. Not tomorrow. Lily needs space. She needs safety. She needs time." He swallowed. "Then what do I do?" I pressed my hand gently to the back of his head. "You step back," I said, "from her, from this house, from all of us, just for a while." His breath hitched. "You want to leave?" "I want you to heal," I said softly, "but you can't do that here." There was a long, heavy silence. Then he whispered, "Okay." And that was the moment the boy I raised finally broke in the way he needed to. Not shattered, not destroyed, but cracked open so the icing could drain out. The next morning, Evan packed a small duffel bag. He didn't say goodbye to Lily. She stayed in her room. She needed that boundary. He finally understood that. Before he walked out the door, he turned to me. "Will it ever be okay again?" I put a hand on his shoulder. "It will be different," I said, "but different can still be good." He nodded once. Then he whispered, "Thank you for stopping me." And with tears in his eyes, he walked out, not in anger, not in defiance, in guilt, in clarity, in hope. People like to think breaking is the worst thing that can happen to a family. But sometimes breaking is the only way something new can grow. The day Evan left, the house felt hollow, quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful, like the air was holding its breath. Lily didn't come down the stairs until noon. She sat on the last step, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the front door like it might open again. "Is he gone?" she whispered. "Yes," I said softly, "just for a while." She closed her eyes. Relief, sadness, fear, all mixed together. That's the thing people don't understand about trauma inside a family. You can love someone and still feel safer when they're far away. And that's okay. Love isn't always a door that stays open. Sometimes love is a door you lock because you V2. Those first 3 days were the hardest. Not because Evan called or begged to come home. He didn't. Not because Lily broke down. She didn't. It was the silence between us. The unspoken questions. The guilt. The fear of saying the wrong thing. Diane tried to fill the house with normal things. Cooking, folding laundry, humming softly in the kitchen. But even she avoided Evan's empty room like it was a wound that hadn't stopped bleeding. Every father thinks he'll know how to fix any problem his kids bring him. But nobody prepares you for the kind of problem you never imagined would happen in your house. On the 4th morning, a letter arrived. Not a text, not a call, a real letter, folded neat, addressed in Evan's handwriting. It was only for me. I didn't open it right away. I sat in my old recliner, the same leather chair with its cracked armrests, and just held it for a long minute. Then I opened it, and the words inside, they tore a hole dry. GHD through me. "Dad, I don't know how to say any of this without sounding like a monster, so I'm just going to say it. I wasn't protecting Lily. I was protecting myself from losing the one person who made me feel like I mattered. I was scared to death that if she built a life without me in the center of it, I'd disappear like I was never here. I don't know why I felt like that. I just know it was wrong. I'm sorry for everything. Spying, controlling, threatening, all of it. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm getting help. I promise. I'm going to figure out what's broken in me, and I'm going to fix it so I never hurt her or anyone like that again. Thank you for stopping me. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for still being my dad. I'll stay away as long as Lily needs. even if it means forever. Evan, I must have read that letter 5 times. Every line cut, but every line healed something too. Because this wasn't the voice of a boy who didn't care. It was the voice of a boy who finally understood the weight of what he'd done. A boy who was choosing distance. Not out of punishment, but out of love. Before I could even think about Evan, I had to focus on Lily. Healing isn't automatic. Fear doesn't evaporate. One evening, she came into the living room and sat beside me. "Dad," she whispered. "Yes, sweetheart." "Do you think he hated me?" The question hit me so hard I had to swallow before answering. "No," I said firmly. "He never hated you. He was scared, and he handled that fear the wrong way." She nodded slowly. "I keep thinking I should have seen it sooner," she whispered. I shook my head. "You were a kid, Lily. It wasn't your job to understand his emotions. It was my job to see the signs. I missed things. That's on me, not you." Her eyes filled with tears. "Is he okay?" "He's trying," I said. "He wants to get better." She hesitated. "Is he ever coming back?" The truth was complicated. Too complicated for her heart to carry. So I said the only thing that mattered. "Only when you feel safe. You decide that. Not me. Not your mom. Not him." She nodded, wiping her cheeks. Then she leaned her head against my shoulder. And for the first time in weeks, the house felt warm again. While Lily healed, Evan was fighting his own battles. He went to therapy 3 times a week. He stayed with my brother up in North Carolina. He sent letters sometimes, never asking about Lily, never complaining, just writing lines like, "I'm starting to understand my triggers." Or, "My therapist says my fear of abandonment runs deep." Or, "I know now that I confuse control with love." Each letter was another inch of progress, another proof that the boy I raised, the boy I loved, was still in there somewhere, but he never once asked to come home, never once tried to push his way back into our lives. And that restraint, that was growth, that was healing. Gee, that was love learning the right shape. 6 months passed. Then one evening, late, around 10:30, my phone buzzed. It was Evan. He hadn't called in months. My chest tightened as I answered. "Dad." His voice was steady, calm, older. "I don't want to bother you," he said slowly. "I just wanted to tell you something." "Go on," I whispered. I think I'm ready to forgive myself." My eyes burned. "That's good, son. And I want you to know I don't expect anything from you or Lily. I don't need to come home. I don't need to sit at the table again. I don't need things to be like they used to." A pause, a deep breath. "But I want you to know I'm better. I'm still working, but I'm better." I closed my eyes. "I'm proud of you," I said quietly. He sniffed, "Just once." "Thanks, Dad. That's really all I wanted." We talked for maybe 2 more minutes. Nothing heavy, nothing painful. And then he hung up. I sat there staring at the phone, realizing something huge. Sometimes healing isn't coming back. Sometimes healing is knowing you can come back, but choosing not to, because it's better for the people you love. About a year after Evan left, Lily came to me in the living room, holding one of his old letters. "Dad." "Yes." "I want to write him." I looked at her, really looked, and saw the peace in her eyes. Not fear, not anger, just peace. "You sure?" I asked gently. She nodded. "He's trying," she said, "and I think maybe I'm ready to see the version of him who's trying, not the version who scared me." She sat down and wrote him a short letter. Not emotional, not dramatic, just, "I hope you're doing okay. I'm doing better now. Thank you for giving me space. I hope you're healing too." That was all. No reunion, no promises, no rush. Just 2 siblings learning how to exist with new boo. Dairies, boundaries built from pain, honesty, and growth. Evan never came back home, not fully. He visits on holidays sometimes, stays with my brother instead of his old room. He and Lily talk occasionally, friendly, respectful, from a distance that feels safe for both of them. He chose distance. Not because he isn't welcome, Not because we don't love him, not because we're afraid. He chose distance because he wants to be the kind of man who never risks hurting his family again, even if that means he has to love them from the outside. And D, that takes more strength than most people ever learn. Let me tell you something. From one old man to whoever is listening, sometimes the people you love break in ways you didn't see coming. They fall apart in the dark while you're busy turning on lamps in other rooms. And sometimes saving them means stepping into the dark with them, not with anger, not with shame, not with denial, but with the truth. The truth that love isn't possession. Love isn't control. Love isn't ownership. Love is responsibility. Love is accountability. Love is guiding someone out of the place they didn't even know they were lost in. My son didn't stay away because we pushed him out. He stayed away because I showed him the line. And he finally learned how to stay on the right side of it. And that's the closest thing to peace a father like me could ever ask for.